Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and today it's my pleasure to introduce one of our newest industry supporters, Jolt. But actually, it's sort of a weird thing to introduce a new person when you're actually talking to well, I don't want to say old person, but when you're actually talking to somebody that you've known a long time. So I want to introduce the Chief Revenue Officer of Jolt, Bob Gibson. So Bob, welcome to the IFBTA and welcome to Jolt as well.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it. And as always, love the IFBTA. You guys do some really great work and very excited to be a part of it.
So you were talking about the time and attendance and the scheduling thing. Does that have an impact on deskless workers and an enterprise? You know, does that somehow fit into that, or how's it all fit together there?
Yeah, it really does. So I think what we're seeing is the deskless worker, especially in the hospitality, just hasn't had tools to really be efficient. And where we can be on an iPad or an Android or, pretty much device agnostic, it gives them those tools just to be that much more efficient within the workplace. The ROI is pretty compelling when you look at it, and the time savings and brand standards that come to the table are really impressive. I think one of the things that really excited me about coming to Jolt is they're a development-heavy company with really limited go-to-market strategy. So as you said, because I've been in the channel for so long, between the dealers, indirect and direct sales, we really have a great opportunity to get the product out there.
Well, you really do have a big opportunity because whereas they may have thought of trying to develop some of these things themselves, everything became so time compressed that they can't. So people were looking for partnerships to resolve these or to deliver on these types of challenges in the industry, but also the consumer demand to want to know the safety side of it. So, you had that ready to go. So they'll probably never go into it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you said, one of the things that we pivoted pretty quickly was to put our consumer-facing dashboard out. So restaurateurs, because one of the things that really I think we need to embrace as an industry is take pride in what you're doing. Be proactive. Don't be reactive. And if you're doing a great job by managing your masks, your gloves, sanitation, cleanliness, let the public know because they're looking.
So how does the public find that out? Because you're not the brand per se. You're not trying to say put Jolt on the door or something. You're just having the brand take it forward.
Exactly. Yeah, and the brand can then do that either on a digital menu board, on a device, or right on their website to get.
Oh, so they can actually see it, how they're doing. So are you actually getting into? I mean, has this whole crisis made new products and services that you were able to leverage your tool set and your engine for? I mean, are you doing things like audits, or are you doing other types of things like that?
Yeah, we've pivoted to some of that type of stuff. I think one of the great examples is like in the state of Washington, where they have to record and maintain for 90 days information on any guests that come in their restaurant. So we quickly pivoted to capture the license, store it, and then in 90 days we get rid of it. So the underlying technology was already there. We're just kind of leveraging the needs of the consumer right now.
But if you're doing monitors, for food safety, temperature, things like that, are you also getting into the safety of the store on demand as the employees are coming in and how they're serving and how they're doing food on a shift-by-shift basis?
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of looking at this from two perspectives. One is obviously the consumer, how to get confidence that they can come back to your establishment. But the second is just as important is the employees. Employees are really skittish right now to come back to work. So any tool that you can use to give them that confidence as well, I think is a tool that's really beneficial to the establishment. And we're doing that with what we're also providing internally for the employees.
Because they feel that they're working in a safer environment and how they handle and how they fits into that.
Exactly. Even just from taking temperatures, right? So an employee comes in, digitally take the temperature, store it. You don't have to necessarily store their name or any of that information, but you can record that everybody in the establishment's 100%, and then you can show that to your employees to make them feel comfortable.
Right. Are you doing any kind of, you're really not an audit group for a group. You're there to enable them to do it, and then audits might be done by others, just like they had mystery shopping and things before.
Exactly. And because we're an enterprise, we can store and report that data up to the enterprise.
Right.
So district managers.
And also report to a governmental agency.
Exactly. Yeah. And we
Okay.
do that with the temp probes today. So when Board of Health comes in
Right.
and wants to see that, all that's digitized for the consumer.
So, you mentioned a couple times the idea of the enterprise, but also of the brand. And, you mentioned a number of brands. We know that there's always that disconnect between the franchisor and the franchisee. And so how do you help to bridge that gap to and by the way, when you were talking about this before, what really immediately came to mind was data security, that, some franchisee somewhere has a data breach and the whole brand is blamed, right? So
Right.
how do you help to bridge that gap on the food safety side?
So we kind of do that in two ways. The first way is just the brand standard. So once the brand decides what those standards are down to the franchisee level, the franchisees can enforce that. So one of my favorite examples is McDonald's. We have a QR code that sits on the trash bin in the back. Mm-hmm. And one of the things McDonald's wants to do is have the appearance of cleanliness, right? So for the employee to actually go out, scan that, and record it, that's a standard that we now can report up that they've done that. And if you look overall at the successful franchisees, they typically are the ones that have the best run operations that are following a lot of those tasks.
That are following. And it's interesting that there's always that reverse thing going on where franchisees always complain about paying the fees, right, to the franchisor. And you sit there and you go, but you're getting brand standards, you're getting our research and things. But as you've just said, the ones that are most successful and make the customers feel the best are the ones that actually follow, the standard.
Absolutely. And then for our multi-unit franchisees, they love this because now they've got 20, 30, 40 locations. They're now managing that. Their brand standards are being applied as well as the corporate brand standard.
So have your sales or the inquiries and what you've done jumped over the past 2 to 3 months because all of a sudden it became important, or were people really headed in that direction to begin with?
We've seen an increase in sales over the last 3 months. I do think part of it is because people are looking for a solution today. But at the same time, we've also seen a lot of pause. So we've had a lot of customers that have struggled during this time because they've been closed. So, the net effect is we've had a nice increase, but if we didn't have this, I think we would have seen a much greater increase.
Right. Now, it's really not just about the food service and hospitality industry, because there's a lot of crossovers that goes to C-stores and hospitals and all. Are you actually selling across all those different industries?
We are. One of our biggest customers is Legoland International. We have a large footprint in Asia, and trampoline parks, believe it or not, are another one of our really large customer base. And the one that I think surprised me the most when I came on board was car washes. Car washes? Yep, we're in thousands of car washes. And for that, it's the mechanical part of it, maintaining the equipment so that it runs, and they use us to do that. So multiple functions within the product and multiple ways industries are using it.
So are there other products that are within the set that we haven't talked about, or now that you've compressed, what was it, the 5 years, and you're seeing it happening a lot quicker, are there areas that you believe the company is going to get into a lot quicker, either by new industries or new product sets that have come about because of what's going on right now?
Yeah, one of the other products that we didn't talk about that we have as well is what we call information library. And it's really a place to store training and forms. So any kind of training or onboarding material can be consolidated from an enterprise standpoint in one location. So as we see employees coming back to work, most of these folks aren't coming back to the same place they left.
And
so
some are rusty also.
Exactly, right. And
Things
all that,
changed.
Yep, all that retraining and that need to get back up to the corporate standards, we can utilize that as well.
So you're storing that training, and I get that. Are you actually creating the training, or is it you're utilizing what's available in the industry or what the customer has?
We're utilizing what's available in the industry, and we've also partnered with a couple of folks that do it, third party.
To create training.
Exactly. And then we can just be the housing for that.
Right. Well, they would do that. But is there crossover? So sometimes you have products that naturally work together, and then sometimes you have products that sort of duplicate each other, and you have the best of breed concept versus the all-in-one concept. So how do you relate with the back office providers that are doing inventory and production and things like that? Are you duplicating efforts there? Are you really more complementary? How does that work?
In most cases, we're complementary. There is a couple of products that will try to do everything. But in general, we're very complementary to either HR systems, scheduling programs, and inventory systems. Anyone who's got a labor management system, because we're modular, you can buy what you want. You don't have to buy the whole product. We can use our API to populate for them, or take it back and then regurgitate that information up to the C-suite.
Right. Well, listen, we are really pleased to have Jolt as a industry supporter of the IFBTA, and also to make us a place of choice, as you made that jump yourself in there. And it's been a lot of fun to do the webinars and things with you guys and sort of hear what you're doing. You are hitting a unique part of the market, and the IFBTA and our membership obviously has a lot to learn from you. And we really appreciate the support.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate all the IFBTA does. I mean, I've known for years it's a really valuable asset that folks need to take a part of. And I'm proud that we've been with you. I've been with you for quite a long time. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. So Bob Gibson from Jolt, and I'm Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and this is part of our Meet the Members series.